Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with record producer and conductor Andrew Melzer on the 2021 CD Scatman, Groovin with Scatman. It profiles the work of the brilliant musician and star of stage, film, and television, Benjamin Sherman Scatman Crothers. He first started performing in clubs as a singer and drummer in his teens and wound up performing in Chicago's speakeasy circuit in the latter part of the roaring 20s. In 1975, after 30 years of recording for labels like RCA, Capitol, Decca, and Motown, Scatman met Anderw, and together they recorded a collection of songs that are finally being released today by Panda Digital. Enjoy this cool story.
Andrew,
hey,
can you
Joe,
hear me?
how are you today?
Hey, I'm good, man. How you doing?
I'm wonderful. Thank you very much. It's nice to connect with you.
Absolutely. Thank you for taking a minute out for Neon Jazz. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure. What can I tell you about that recording?
Well, this is what we're going to do here. Let's start at the top and kind of give me an idea. You're a producer, and Scatman's going to be released June 18th, which is today. And I just kind of want you to kind of give me a little bit about you and how you're involved with the release of this, and then we can kind of dig into layers of this.
A friend who was a television producer, and I had already done a number of projects musically before, and he needed a theme song for his proposed series, the pilot, right? That's how I got involved in this whole thing. But to back up, on a personal basis, I had already met Scat a couple of years before, and we became friends.
Talk to me a little bit about this album. It seems like a triumphant tribute to who he was and what he was. So talk to me a little bit about this release.
The most important thing I could say is that he said to me after we finished not just the first set of recordings, but the subsequent ones later on as well, that he said, you know, I've done a lot of recordings, but I have to tell you, this is my favorite. I think it's the best. That's what he said to me. And I loved him and his music and his wit. He was one of the funniest guys ever. And it was just the biggest compliment ever to have him say that he thought these recordings were the best ever for him.
How did you pick the tunes? How did all of this actually get constructed and put together?
Okay, well, one of the tunes, there were three of us who wrote three different proposals for the theme song for this TV show, right? And one of them was Scat, which is still going strong. Another one was a song that was written by Herb Martin and Michael Leonard, Mickey. His nickname was Mickey Leonard, and I wrote another one called "Going Strong" theme, and the first track on this album combines the two together because I wanted their song to go somewhere else, and that's how that particular track came about. And then there were these other sessions approximately about 20 months later, and that's when we did You're Pretty, Louie Is Your Garbage Man, and Scoot On Over to Scats, which were recorded, if you see the booklet, by different set of unbelievably talented musicians, you know?
When did you know Scatman? When did you meet him? What was that relationship like?
Well, he was shooting a film called Silver Streak in Toronto in 1975, and I was introduced to him on the set, which was like in downtown Toronto. We started chatting and we became friends, and then when I out in California, then obviously we hooked up again, and when these recordings started to become a reality, obviously we were working together on it. Everything just came about, and we spent a lot of wonderful time together as friends, going to different events, including the Hollywood Parade, all the different charity drives that were going on TV and so on. So it was a wonderful opportunity to see him doing things other than on screen or recorded. By the way, I love some of his recordings from the 50s. They're incredible.
I'm curious because he was so prolific on the screen. I mean, everybody knows him from a variety of roles. Do you think people realized how prolific and good he was at singing and being a musician?
I would agree with you. Not enough. I think that he is a real major talent, and both him and his ex-manager and friend Al Williams were telling me about all their experiences being African-American entertainers in late 40s and 50s in America, and how so many wonderful people just said, if he doesn't stay here, I don't stay here. If he doesn't go on, I don't go on, And I learned a lot. From Scat. I think he really worked his way up, and he really worked on his craft, both as an actor and as a musician and songwriter. He's written some really fine songs.
He was born in 1910, left us in 1986, and now in 2021, we're talking about an album getting released. What do you think that means? Does that play into a timelessness, maybe a resurgence of the scat jazz vibe in America and the world? What do you think this means for this coming out right now as a retrospective?
Joe, I'm already hearing it. It is just amazing. I am hearing a lot of young people who are starting to get into scat, I think that is a wonderful thing, because scatting is like making your voice like an instrument. So you're taking riffs with your instrument, right?
Yeah.
So that's what it is, and Scat was a real master at that, and it was wonderful to be able to capture some of that on tape.
What do you hope people get from this album? Anybody that picks it up that may not have known him that well, or they're curious, what do you hope they get from this experience of this collection of music on Scatman?
Well, we could talk about that from different perspectives. People who've already known who he was and just see something else that they've never seen or heard, maybe, or people who have absolutely no idea who Scatman is or was. And what actually shocked me over the last 6 months, since I was involved in reviving tapes and doing graphic design and mixing and this and that, a lot of young people who don't know him either as a musician or songwriter, but the one thing they all know is The Shining. For some reason, all the young people have seen The Shining, and he's one of the stars of that film. It was amazing to me, and maybe some of those people now will listen to his music or his singing and find a whole new perspective on him.
I mean, isn't that the way history is, though? It's just a big revolving door. It's like one generation gets introduced to another because there's a door, and it's like, as much as he was an actor, it was just a portal into his consummate persona as an artist.
I think so, too. And the other thing that I should say, I've always respected artists who hand down something from before them to the generation that follows them. And Scat definitely did that. if he's born in 1910, he would have been, let's see, playing drums at 15, so it would have been 1925. So he was picking up stuff from people older than him. I was so thrilled to be able to put that on tape so we can transfer that down to people who are the next generation to hear what that was like.
If you, right now, with all of the amount of music and musicians and things that are going on in the world, if you have to pitch this project to somebody that's wanting new music from a master, from somebody that's been around, or just wants a new sound, how would you pitch this product to a potential listener?
Well, I mean, the plainest I could put it, would you please listen to a wonderful and talented artist that you may not have heard about? I don't think there's any other way to put it, because Joe, like, you probably have gone to a lot of galleries too. Me too, museums and things, and we look at things, and these people are already gone, and you see their incredible art, and that's the way I see great masters of music as well. You can't lead somebody to go to that gallery or museum, and you can't lead them to this. But I would say that some people who like jazz and who like comedy, because he was just the funniest guy, and want to hear great singing and scatting, of course, please listen.
Beautiful. Andrew, thank you for taking some time out for Neon Jazz. Good luck with this project and everything else.
Thank you so much for this opportunity, Joel. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest producers and players in Toronto, New York City, Kansas City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. Thanks to Andrew for his time and story. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino in the iTunes Store. Visit Neon Jazz at youtube.com, and for everything Neon Jazz all the time, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.